So the subvert is all finished up, and we can start with the show side scale. As you guys can see, there's a lot of color going on in these new custom scales. And I forgot where this material is made, and I forgot the specific name for this crazy fiber. But I'll put it up on screen since I can't remember at the moment. But just wanted to give a quick shout out to JD from JDizzle Designs. You can find him on Instagram. But he was able to provide me with this material since it was a bit challenging to order the material off the website. So thank you for that, JD. Again, I'll leave his information down below in the description. But really, really pleased with how these turned out. As you guys can see, I had to strengthen this material with 16th inch Tiffany Blue G10. Make this material just a little bit thicker to match the original scales. So I had to go pretty darn thin over here on the edges to match the original scales. I wanted everything to be exactly like the original. So thickness and thinness at certain points. So that way it is contoured and it's a lot more comfortable in hand. I did bevel the edges and I did expose some of the G10, but I made it pretty clean with the Dremel just to match on the low spot areas and just to give it a better look instead of just a rough transition from the G10 to the crazy fiber. And then I also added what I like to call is a double beveled edge. So I beveled the top edge of the scale, and then I also beveled the bottom side just a little bit, just to give it a little extra character. And the reason I did that was because the liners have certain bevels in certain areas, as you guys can see right there. So again, just wanted it to match the liners. And of course, I had to create a custom backspacer to match the scales because that bright orange just wasn't doing it for me. So I did the same G10 liners with the crazy fiber material on the inside of it, beveled the edges so you have a nice comfortable feel in hand. Now the backspacer and the scales took quite a bit of extra time since I had to use epoxy to glue the G10 to the material. So this project was a bit time consuming since I did have to wait a day for that resin to cure and hold everything in place. I also then stone washed the blade and the pocket clip just to give it, just to hide those scratches when it's in use. As you guys can see here, you still get that beautiful satin finish, but a nice stone wash also to hide the scratches in future use. I didn't sharpen the edge of the blade since I will be creating another set of custom scales, which I will be showing you guys here pretty soon. And more than likely on the next one, I'll probably etch and stone wash the blade and the pocket clip. But as for now, I just stone washed the blade and the pocket clip just to kind of all have it tie together. And then I did have an accident on the pivot. I accidentally scratched the surface of the bead blasted titanium hardware, which I was a little bummed out, but I did figure out a way to get around that, which I think it looks pretty good. I wasn't going for this look, but I think it still looks pretty good on the knife. But enough talking about it. Let's put this thing together and see what it looks like. Here is the knife all assembled, and I gotta say I'm really, really pleased with these crazy fiber scales and that backspacer. As you guys can see, I raised it up just a little bit above the liners just to give it some more attention, and then I did bevel the edges to match it to the liners. Again, just adding those little tiny touches to make it a little more unique. And then I also did bevel just slightly on the inside of the scales. You guys can see right there, just a little bit. Really think it kind of pulls everything together, especially with those beveled edges on the liners themselves. And I know the original orange scales were really bright and in your face. I believe these do the same thing, but they're not as in your face. You still get a cool pop of color, and just I think it makes the knife a little bit more unique. But let me know down below if you guys think I went the right route with these scales. Again, I didn't know what knife to use for the material, And I figured the Subvert would be a perfect knife to kind of get crazy with it and make it not only unique, but make it stand out from just those orange scales. So let's get a look at it opened up. Action is still great. Just a really, really nice design. I love this knife designed by Black Snow Customs. I believe his name is Natty, the designer himself, but just beautiful, beautiful stuff that he creates. I'll leave a link down below to his Instagram. You guys can check out his beautiful customs. But there's the blade stonewashed. Again, once I create those other scales out of that really nice micarta, I can do an etch and stonewash on the blade and the pocket clip. And since I did accidentally scratch the hardware, or the pivot hardware, I did create that satin finish, which does match with the liners and the original hardware that I also satin finished just to make them pop a little bit more. But overall, I am pleased with the outcome. As always, let me know down below what you guys think of how this thing turned out. And I am excited already to get started on those other scales, since I did mess up on those ones as well. So I just got to figure something out with those. And if you guys do happen to have a Subvert yourselves, I will be putting these scales and backspacer up on my website for sale. So if you guys are interested in adding some custom touches to your Subvert, these will be available. And as always, you guys, thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next one.